people forget. She notices when you are quieter than usual, when your humor changes, or when something that once excited you no longer does. This is not curiosity in a casual sense. It is attunement. This happens because attraction activates the nervous system. When someone matters emotionally, the brain starts scanning for cues. She is not doing this consciously. Her system is simply tuned to you. She may check your face when you enter a room to read your mood before speaking. She may adjust her tone depending on how you seem that day. She may bring up something you mentioned weeks ago, not because she planned to, but because it stayed with her. Emotional memory strengthens when attachment is forming. What makes this sign powerful is that it requires energy. Attention is a limited resource. People do not invest it unless there is emotional pull. When she tracks your emotions, she is already involving herself in your experience. Your inner state has become relevant to her sense of safety and connection. This is one of the earliest stages of emotional bonding, even if nothing physical has happened. There is also restraint involved. She may not openly ask what is wrong even when she senses it. Instead, she creates space. She becomes slightly more gentle. She offers support indirectly. This shows regulation, not disinterest. She is aware of your emotional state but does not want to cross boundaries or expose her own feelings. Many people misread this as friendliness, but friendliness is general. Emotional tracking is specific. She does not do this with everyone. It is selective and focused. And the more consistent it is, the stronger the signal becomes. Over time, you will notice she anticipates your reactions before you speak. She understands your patterns. She adapts to you. That level of attunement only happens when attraction has already moved beneath the surface and taken root. When a woman secretly craves you, selective vulnerability begins to appear, and it is one of the clearest psychological signals of attraction because it involves risk. Vulnerability is not something people give freely. It is something they offer carefully when someone feels emotionally significant. She does not suddenly share everything about herself. Instead, she reveals small personal truths that are meaningful but controlled. A frustration she usually keeps quiet. A doubt she does not voice around others. A story from her past that explains who she is rather than entertains. This is intentional even if she is not aware of it. Selective vulnerability means she is testing emotional safety. She wants to see how you respond when she shows a softer side. She watches closely. Does he listen or dismiss? Does he stay present or change the subject? Does he respect what I shared or turn it into a joke? Her nervous system is gathering data. Attraction creates the desire to connect, but self-protection keeps her from exposing too much too fast. That balance produces selective openness. What matters is that this vulnerability is not random. She does not share these things with everyone. Around others, she may appear composed, guarded, or even distant. With you, something shifts. The conversation slows. Her voice changes slightly. She becomes more thoughtful. These are signs she is allowing you access to her inner world. Even if the topic seems small, the act itself is large. There is also a pattern of timing. She often opens up during quiet moments rather than public ones, late conversations, one-on-one settings, after a shared experience. This is when emotional safety feels highest. Attraction increases sensitivity. She chooses moments where connection feels possible without exposure. People often mistake selective vulnerability for friendship, but friendship vulnerability feels easy and mutual. This feels careful, measured. She shares, then waits. She may pull back afterward. She may change the subject quickly. That pullback is not regret. It is regulation. She revealed something and now she is checking emotional equilibrium. This behavior shows that you matter enough to affect her emotional boundaries. She is not seeking attention. She is seeking understanding. When someone wants to be understood by you, it means your perception carries weight. And when perception carries weight, attraction has already moved beyond surface level and into emotional territory where desire is quiet but deeply rooted. When a woman secretly craves you, controlled flirtation often replaces obvious signals, and this is where many people become confused. Controlled flirtation is attraction under management. It happens when desire is present, but she is consciously or unconsciously regulating how much she allows herself to show. Instead of clear advances, you notice brief moments of warmth followed by distance. A smile that lingers a little longer than necessary, then neutrality. A playful comment followed by a sudden topic change. These shifts are not accidental. They reflect internal restraint. Attraction naturally pushes people toward expression, but when there are emotional boundaries, social consequences, or internal conflict, that expression becomes filtered. She wants connection, but also wants to stay in control of how exposed she becomes. So she allows just enough flirtation to release tension without committing to action. This creates a push and pull rhythm, leaning in, then stepping back, engaging, then detaching. What makes this different from mixed signals is consistency. The flirtation may be subtle, but it repeats. It appears in tone, eye contact, humor, and timing. She may tease you lightly, then quickly soften it. She may compliment indirectly rather than directly. She might use humor as a cover so that if the moment feels too revealing, she can retreat safely. This is flirtation designed with an exit strategy. There is also a strong element of self-awareness. She often notices herself getting close and corrects it. You may see her straighten her posture, pause mid-sentence, or physically create space after a moment of closeness. These are regulation behaviors. Her body moves before her mind fully catches up. Desire creates momentum. Control applies the brakes. Many people misinterpret this as uncertainty or lack of interest. In reality, when attraction is weak, there is no need for control. People either engage openly or remain indifferent. Control appears when something matters. She is managing not only how you see her, but how she sees herself in relation to you. Over time, controlled flirtation creates tension rather than clarity, and that tension is meaningful. It signals unexpressed desire rather than absence of it. She is not testing you, she is managing herself. When you recognize this pattern, you stop reacting to individual moments and start seeing the emotional regulation beneath them. That awareness changes how you respond and often allows attraction to unfold without pressure or force. When a woman secretly craves you, subtle territorial behavior often appears even when she would never admit to feeling possessive. This does not look like overt jealousy or control. It shows up quietly through awareness shifts and emotional reactions that happen before logic intervenes. She becomes more attentive to who is around you, not in an obvious way, but in a monitoring way. Her eyes linger a second longer when another woman speaks to you. Her energy changes when attention is pulled away from her. These reactions are instinctive, not strategic. Territorial behavior is rooted in attachment activation. When emotional interest is present, the nervous system begins to register perceived competition. She may ask casual questions that carry information. Who was that? How do you know her? Are you close? The tone sounds neutral, but the intent is data gathering. She is trying to orient herself emotionally without exposing desire. This is why the questions often feel light but specific. Another sign is subtle withdrawal when another woman enters the dynamic. She might become quieter, less expressive, or more reserved. This is not punishment or disinterest. It is emotional self-protection. Her system senses threat and pulls inward. The shift is usually temporary but noticeable if you are paying attention. Once the perceived competition fades, her warmth returns. Territorial behavior can also appear through timing. She chooses moments to engage when others are not present. She creates one-on-one pockets even in group settings. A side comment, a private glance, a moment of shared humor that excludes the room. This is not accidental. It is her way of maintaining connection without claiming ownership. What makes this behavior subtle is that she rarely acts on it directly. She does not confront or demand. She observes, adjusts, and regulates. She may become slightly more affectionate in tone afterward, as if re-anchoring the connection, or she may temporarily distance herself to regain emotional balance. Many people mistake this for moodiness or inconsistency, but inconsistency is random. This is situational. It appears in response to perceived competition. When attraction is absent, there is no internal reaction to rivals. Indifference feels flat. Territorial shifts carry emotional charge even when expressed quietly. The key detail is that this behavior happens without intention. She is not choosing to be territorial. Her attachment system is responding automatically. And the fact that it activates around you reveals that you occupy emotional space that feels valuable and vulnerable to loss. When a woman secretly craves you, increased responsiveness, followed by pauses, becomes a repeating pattern, and it reflects inner conflict rather than lack of interest. At first, she engages quickly. She replies with energy. She leans into conversation. She asks thoughtful questions. Her attention feels focused and present. Then suddenly there is a pause, a delay, a moment of distance. This shift can feel confusing if you look at it only on the surface. This pattern happens because attraction pulls her forward emotionally, but self-regulation pulls her back. When she feels herself getting close, she becomes aware of vulnerability. Her nervous system signals caution. The pause is not a game. It is an attempt to regain balance. She needs space to process what she is feeling and to re-establish control over her emotional exposure. Responsiveness means availability, and availability is a form of investment. She gives it freely in the moment because desire lowers defenses. But once the moment passes, her mind steps in. She wonders if she revealed too much, if she came across as eager, or if the connection is becoming too real. The pause that follows is protective, not dismissive. These pauses are often temporary and patterned. She returns with warmth once she feels emotionally regulated again. The rhythm repeats. Engage, pull back, re-engage. Over time, this creates a wave-like dynamic rather than steady distance. Indifference looks flat and unchanging. This feels charged, even in silence. Another important detail is that during pauses, she still remains aware of you. She may watch your stories, notice your presence, or bring up past conversations later. The connection does not disappear. It simply goes quiet while she recalibrates. Emotional withdrawal without detachment is a sign of conflict, not rejection. People often misread this as hot and cold behavior meant to manipulate, but manipulation requires intent. This pattern is driven by internal tension. She wants closeness, but fears its consequences. The pause gives her system time to settle so she can return without feeling overwhelmed. When attraction is low, there is no need for pauses. Engagement is casual or non-existent. Pauses only matter when engagement mattered first. The key is not the silence itself, but what surrounds it. The depth before and after. That contrast reveals the emotional weight underneath her behavior and shows that desire is present but carefully managed. When a woman secretly craves you, emotional restraint in your presence becomes visible, and it is one of the most misunderstood signs of attraction. Emotional restraint does not look like excitement or openness. It looks like control. She holds back reactions that would normally come out freely. She pauses before responding. She measures her words. This is not because she feels nothing. It is because she feels enough to be careful. When someone matters emotionally, we become aware of impact. She knows her reactions could reveal more than she wants to show, so she edits herself in real time. You may notice her stopping mid-sentence, then choosing a different word. You may see her soften an expression or suppress a smile. These are micro acts of regulation. Her nervous system is active and alert. Restraint often increases in your presence compared to others. Around people she feels neutral with, she is relaxed, unfiltered, and spontaneous. Around you, she becomes more composed. This is because attraction raises self-awareness. She wants to be seen positively, but also wants to protect herself from exposure. The result is careful presence. Another layer of restraint is emotional withholding after moments of closeness. If a conversation deepens, you may notice her pull back slightly afterward. She may become quieter or more formal. This is not rejection, it is rebalancing. She allowed herself to feel, and now she is restoring control. Restraint can also appear as delayed expression. She may feel something strongly, but choose not to express it immediately. Later, she references it indirectly or with softened language. This delay allows her to manage vulnerability while still staying connected. People often mistake restraint for lack of chemistry, but chemistry that feels too intense often triggers regulation rather than expression. When attraction is weak, there is no need to manage anything. Emotions flow or they do not exist. Restraint appears only when feelings are present and potentially disruptive. The key detail is that restraint requires effort. It takes energy to hold something back. She is actively managing her inner world around you, and people do not regulate what they do not care about. Emotional restraint is not absence, it is containment. And containment usually means that desire is present but being carefully held rather than openly released. When you look at all of these signs together, a clear pattern emerges. Female attraction does not always announce itself through obvious